Hello, welcome back to the Football Terrace. Thank you very much for tuning in. We're here to talk transfers as usual. Things are really starting to heat up, and expect big movement. Expect big movement from Monday, tomorrow, in fact, depending on when you're watching this, when the Premier League ends. There's only about 6 to 7 weeks until the new campaign begins. We have Man United, Wolves and Manchester City that have the capabilities and maybe going far into Europe, meaning they're only going to have a 2 to 3 week break before the new season begins. You're going to have Liverpool, the current champions, who are going to want to strengthen. You've got Chelsea that are going to do a madness in the market no matter what. There is going to be so much business. There's going to be so many twists and turns in the market over the coming weeks. Make sure you stay with us here at the Football Terrace, where we'll report on the majority of the rumors, and we will give you, the fans, a voice to come on these streams via comments, and then at least once a day where we open up the airways and allow you to come on and have your say on these rumors. One, the validity of them is always important, but also how would they fit into your team? It's really, really important. We're going to cover a couple of topics today. One of them, of course, being Chelsea chase of Kai Havertz, what's going on with that? Thomas Partey to Arsenal. There's been a supposed update involving a different player. It looks like Arsenal are struggling to get the Thomas Partey deal done, so looking at Danilo Pereira from Porto. We're going to delve into that. And then there's Man United being linked with 22-year-old Gabriel. His surname, I'll be honest with you, I do struggle to pronounce it. Google Translate pronounces it like this:
Gabriel Magalhaes.
Magalhaes. So I'm gonna call him Gabriel Magalhaes, from Lille, the 22-year-old. I've been doing a bit of research on him this morning, watching a lot of footage of him play. He's passing, he's one-on-one defending. Looks a solid player and statistically very, very good as well. But before we go any further, do me a massive favor: hit the like button right now, please. It really supports the channel. You don't need to agree with my opinions, but clearly if you're here regularly, you enjoy the interactions. Please do that. It just supports the channel. And also share this on your social media platforms if you would be so kind. Of course, I'm going to interact with your live comments. Aside from that, do me a big favor. If you want to become a member of the Football Terrace, we posted the link right now in the live chat, and it's also in the comment sections below. Thank you to the 10 new people that have signed up as members in the last week or so. So let's start with, what do you want to start with? You tell me in the live comments, where do you want to start today? You let me know, and we'll delve straight into that story and give you an update. Remember, we're going to be live. That was good. Well done, Tel. We're going to be live from about 3 o'clock today for the final day of the Premier League season. So we're really looking forward to bringing that to you all today, and of course a live phone-in show afterwards, as always. What we're seeing here, let's just start with the Thomas Partey deal. I'm seeing a lot of people mentioning that. So this is what I read this morning. It says that Mikel Arteta still remains keen on signing Thomas Partey, with the Atletico Madrid midfielder available for 45 million due to his release clause. Unfortunately, Arsenal do not have that kind of money available, so ESPN claim that Porto's Danilo Pereira is a more realistic target and should be available at half the price. I want to ask Gooners this question right now. If you can't afford a 45 million pound midfielder, genuine question here, no salt attached. You know, this is salt-free, right? Salt-free, sugar-free. How can you even think about getting back into Champions League spots? Is that even plausible in your minds? And I mean that with no salt. If you can't afford 45 million pounds for Thomas Partey, that's a madness for me. My hope for Arsenal fans, if I take my Man United glasses off, is this. Last year, they said you couldn't afford anybody, and you dropped 75 mil on Pepe. Is this just smoke and mirrors from Arsenal trying to lower prices? But and by the way, if Thomas Partey is available for 45 million, Man United, what you doing? Man City, what you doing? Liverpool, what you doing? Tottenham, what you doing? That is a snip. 45 million pounds for Thomas Partey. Come on. Even in this market, that is a madness. The guy is every bit as good as Ndidi. Every bit as good as Ndidi. You got to go for him. Someone's got to buy him. And if Arsenal miss out on him, damn. All I can say to that is damn. yeah, that is literally all I've got to say on that one. It really, really is. Another bit of news today. It looks like James Maddison might sign a new contract at Leicester City, which tells you one thing. I don't think the big clubs are chasing him this summer, if that is indeed the case. Spurs are in the race to sign Callum Wilson. Interesting for Tottenham. But they haven't really had a backup to Harry Kane for a long, long time, or even competition for him. And I think maybe that's something that needs to be created. Let's keep going here with these stories. Let's look at the Kai Havertz news this morning. Need to find it now because I've lost the page that I had it saved on. Interesting, actually, I read another story today in the Sunday Times that Palace will make Wilfried Zaha available and will accept around £40 million for him. It did make me laugh. I bet they wish they let him go last year for 60, 70 million. Hindsight, that's a very lucrative thing. Still more stories about United looking at All Black. Let me just find this Kai Havertz news. Where's it gone, man? Where's this Kai Havertz news gone? You know, sometimes these things disappear off my page, and then I'm like, right, I've got no idea at all where it's gone. We'll go back to the Kai Havertz one in a minute. Here is Man United in for Gabriel. It goes, a man in demand, it appears, is Lille's Gabriel, who is now being chased by Man United, according to multiple media sources. The centre-back has been targeted by Arsenal, with both teams hopeful of a cut price £22.5 million deal for the fine defender. What's really interesting about this deal, though, for Gabriel, and I've held back on talking about it for a few days because I sort of felt like I wanted to read and research him. So I've been using Y Scout, watching, his passing ability is good. His long-range passing is great. He's left-footed. He dominates that left-hand side of the pitch. But what really stood out to me is his defensive ability. So he's one-on-one defending. I must have watched about 60, 70 clips of his one-on-one defending. Very assured for a 22-year-old. Still some room for improvement. There's a little bit of erraticness at times, but still room for improvement. But when you look at him statistically, defensive duels won. Okay, this is all games at elite level, including Champions League and the National League. 72% of defensive duels won. 67% of aerial duels won. 66% of loose ball duels won. 63% of slide tackles won. Over 5 interceptions per game, every single game. Recoveries of the ball, over 12 per game. Clearances, 3.5 per game. From a defensive standpoint, Gabriel is exceedingly talented. And the other element of this that I've kept reading is that Napoli have been scouting him for about 18 months as the long-term replacement for Koulibaly. And we know how good Koulibaly is. And I was thinking about this earlier, right? You look at Koulibaly, 29, 60, 70 million pounds. If Napoli, and maybe it's a stereotype I shouldn't follow, but like when Italian clubs want a defender, I always tend to think there must be something very promising about their defensive abilities, because for me, Italian football is renowned for having not just great defenders, but almost beautiful defenders in the way they're almost artistic on the pitch. Why not go for this kid that they want to replace Koulibaly as opposed to buying Koulibaly? Because what's going to happen is Gabriel's going to go to Napoli, be brilliant until he's 25, and then someone's going to buy him for 80, 90, 100 million. Why not get him now? And I think from a Man United fan's point of view, I do want experience. Experience is important, but this kid looks very, very talented. Now, I've not seen him play I haven't seen him play a match, so I'm not going to sit here and say I have, but I'm not watching YouTube highlight reels. When you use Y Scout, when you click on defensive duels, it shows you everything. Once he wins, once he doesn't, mistakes he makes. Like when you look at his long passes, it isn't just all the good long passes. It will show you the 4 or 5 long range passes that were awful. So you get a real good mix and sense of what he can and can't do. And when you break through these players statistically, you can look at best actions, you can look at clearances. So I can't show you. If I click on clearances here as an example, it shows you all the clearances that he makes in games. So you can see, are they good? Are they bad? The first one I just saw there, he kind of scuffs the ball as an example. You watch this one here, the ball gets played in. What's he doing here? The ball gets crossed, he cuts it out well. So you can actually watch his clearances and you can see whether they're good, bad, erratic, if it's good positioning, is he scrambling, as an example. There's something on here called covering depth. Now, I've never heard of this until today, but you watch it and it shows how well he covers his fellow defenders, as an example. So you see there's an attack here and you can watch him like he was in a covered position, then he wins the ball. And, so it's great. There's so many different areas you can look at. Aerial duels, you can literally look at them. One really important statistic for defenders that you have on Y-Scout. So it's a statistic, but then you get all the video evidence to back it up. Is balls lost. So you click on balls lost, and it shows you all the times that he has lost a ball. So this is something that's well worth looking at. So again, the first one you see is a terrible mistake from him, where the ball's played in, and he goes to pass it back to his teammate, and he gives it straight to Kylian Mbappe. Kylian Mbappe then goes on. I don't know if he scores. I don't show you. So you can then look at it and assess, okay, well, how many mistakes is he making? So in fairness, there's 4 or 5 times this season where he's lost the ball in fairly dangerous positions. So I've saying to people recently, like, people want to single out players in their own teams for this, and then they're linked with like a real good. So again, he's caught on the ball in possession, but he's a young defender. He's going to make these mistakes. So that's what I like about Y-Scout. You can look at a player overall and go, how good or bad is he? What do the mistakes look like? Where do the mistakes happen? And this is why when I call people out on social media around, well, show me what other elite level defenders are doing. I did it with Maguire. Giving the ball away in dangerous positions too much. Now, remember, Y-Scout shows you every single time a player loses the ball in the season. There's footage for every single one. And like Joe Gomez has double the amount of lost balls this season in his own half that Maguire does, but no one's talking about it. So that's why I like Y-Scout as a way of reviewing what you see in a defender. But remember, he's only lost the ball 5 times this season, Gabriel. But all 5 have been in very dangerous positions. So I would say to people, be very mindful that this kid wouldn't be the finished article at Man United. What you do have is, whether you're Arsenal, United, or Chelsea that sign him, you've got someone that over the next 2 or 3 years could become an elite level defender. Don't think he's coming in at 22 and being the finished article. Brilliant defensive statistics. He's great one-on-one. He's got good passing range, good positional sense, but he's young and he will make mistakes. Now, we're doing this at the moment with AWB at Man United, where we're acting like he should be the finished article at 21, 22 years of age. This is a preposterous abomination of footballing opinion. It truly is. Defenders, for me, are not at their best until 25, 26, because it becomes a position more of anticipation. And the way I look at it is this. When you learn to drive, you pass your driving test and you can drive officially. But it takes you a number of years for me to become a great driver, where you learn to anticipate, read the road, see things long before they happen. You could be driving on the motorway or the freeway, depending on where you live. When you first start, you're looking at the car in front of you, you're making sure no one's coming into your lane. The more experienced and relaxed you become, you can see cars 500 meters in front of you, and by what they're doing, you can assess your own driving. You don't do that in the beginning, because it becomes about experience and understanding what's going on. And that's the same with defenders for me. So from my point of view, I'd be happy if we signed this kid. He looks very promising at 22.5 million. But just like when we signed Lindelof and we signed Bailly and we signed Jones and we signed Smalling, there is a possibility that it may not work out. There's a possibility that these mistakes that you see in his game may remain. There's a possibility that these mistakes that you see in his game may never go away. They might just be a part of him as a player. So bear that in mind. Don't just look at the good bits, look at both. I'm very fortunate to have access to Y-Scout, which shows you all the brilliant and bad bits in relation to these players. But again, as I say, that's just my view on these things. In relation to Kai Havertz, I mean, the update was going to be very, very simple. Nothing has changed. A few newspapers are talking, Chelsea don't make Champions League today. It won't happen. Not the case. Whether Chelsea finish 4th or 5th, huge possibility still that Kai Havertz is coming in. He's committed to come in. It'll be the early part of next month. His sisters confirmed that to us on the Football Terrace. So there we go. Do me a big, big favor. Hit the like and share button. Really important to us as a platform that we get that done. And if you do want to become an official member of the Football Terrace, the link has just been shared in the live chat and it's also in the comments section as well. Terry, how confident are you on a scale of 1 to 10 about Gabriel signing for United? I'd say about a 6. About a 6 out of 10. Yeah, that's where I stand on it right now. I'm only reporting on what the media says. My opinion, it's about 60% chance of happening. A few people are asking for the ball loss stats for other defenders. So let's look at this as an example. Let's go look at Harry Maguire. Again, there's lots of different things we can look at. We'll go to Harry Maguire and we'll go to that statistical balls lost this season. So this will show this season as example. So it isn't just so this season, losing the ball, United has done it against Bournemouth. He's done it in an England shirt. See, it's not very many in this season for. So let's look at that statistic as an example. So there's only like 2 clips I've got on here from this season. So let's look at it this year as an example, and let's go to defensive. It says so. It shows losses, okay, in his own half. Is that right? I don't know what that means. You know, sometimes I look at these situations and I think to myself, I don't get. Doesn't make any sense. 1 second. I'm just waiting to get the right statistics up in front of me. There we go. So let's look at this now. So it says here losses is at 4.1 losses per game. So that includes loss of possession, misplaced passes as an example. So that's around 4 per game as an example. Let's look at Joe Gomez. And I'm just looking at this now because I like to be honest, and we're going to look at this season only. So we're not going to like look over a long period of time. Oh, I've got a little visitor. What's the matter? Oh, hello. Come here. What's wrong? Hello. You come see me. Yeah. You want to speak to everybody? You can say hello. You're going to say hi. What's better? What's wrong? Okay. Jackson's in your bed. Yeah, is he? Who's coming to visit us tomorrow? Is Archie coming? He's gone. He's not here, is he? Is he coming tomorrow? No. Yes, he is. He's coming tomorrow. He's coming tomorrow. You can say hi to everybody. You can say hello. Who's that? Yeah. Is that me? Yeah. Is it Freya? Yeah. Yes, you do that. Is that you? Daddy. Yes, Daddy. Can you see yourself as well? Yeah. Right, you're gonna go now. Not yet. You can't eat that. I know you like to eat everything. Right. Go and tell Jackson, Mummy, what you've been doing. All right. Say bye to everyone. Say bye. Bye. There we go. See you in a minute. Daddy, come make breakfast in a minute, or lunch, or brunch, whatever you want to call it. Bye-bye. Love you. Blow kisses. Good girl. See you in a bit. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know what any of these sort of statistics are prior to any of this. Let me just look at defensively. Again, losses here. So when you look at the losses for Joe Gomez, it's 7.1 per game. Okay, compared to Maguire's 4.1 per game. So that's overall losses. So that includes misplaced passes, not recovering balls, as an example, being dispossessed. It's a combination of all of them. Now, it doesn't show you the severity of the areas, but it gives you an idea. If we let's look at the best defender in the world in Virgil van Dijk, because I just like to get how the best are losing these balls in these positions. Because I think we often like to act. So you'll get someone like Gabriel just linked to Man United, and everyone's going to look at, everyone will look at the positives about him. They'll never look at any of the negatives. And I just think that it's important to apply context to these situations. Let's look at the defensive areas. I mean, Van Dijk is at 7.5 losses per game. 40% of them are in his own half. So let me go back. I've actually done something wrong with Harry Maguire. It's something I didn't click on. So Van Dijk loses the ball 7.5 times per game, but 40% of that is in his own half, as an example. What I didn't click on with Maguire, I only clicked on home games. So I need to go back and put home and away games in because I've misrepresented Harry Maguire's figures here. So there we go. You look at Harry Maguire, and it's 7.1, losses, with about the same, with a slightly higher percentage in his own half of 50% in his own half. So there's no doubt there's a you want that to improve. You don't want there to be any you want him to reduce the amount of losses in his own half. People are talking about Koulibaly, and that Koulibaly, we know how good he is, but let's look at him as an example here, and we'll look at this season in relation to that, just to keep it fair in terms of what he's doing. But if we look at him in terms of the amount of times that he's sort of lost the ball, again, 6.1, so a little bit less. and 48% in his own half. So this is a point I always make to people. And again, now what you need to do, and what I would then need to, you can then click on these losses. So then if you click on the videos, it shows you what these losses look like as an example. So you can actually assess the losses. So this is the advantage I have over, when people tell me Maguire loses the ball more often than everybody else, I can then watch, and then I can see how bad and how bad these losses actually are. And he isn't losing the ball in dangerous positions disproportionately higher than his counterparts. He just isn't. Like, he truly isn't. And I think from my point of view, that's what's important to focus on when it comes to these situations, is that we don't allow ourselves to get indoctrinated by the media. Oh, Van Dijk never makes these mistakes, and Maguire's making loads of them. People, it's all about availability bias and availability heuristics. How often is a particular mistake or a particular person's mistakes amplified and put in front of you? And then how are they being tweaked and doctored to create a narrative? And that's always been my view on any of these situations. I always ask for that. Again, I've done the same thing to defend Paul Pogba. When people show you his walking stats, great. But show me everybody's walking stats. Show me everybody's walking stats. Only then am I prepared to take it as a negative and or a positive. Do you get where I'm coming from? So look, I'm looking at this here. So this is Virgil van Dijk's losses. So again, he makes more losses per game of the ball than Maguire, but of course he does attempt more passes, so it's plausible. But then he's at 40% in his own half. I'm going to click on one game here against Southampton. Now I'm looking at this footage here, and this shows you all the times in the game. This was against Southampton back in February, and this shows you all the times he's lost the ball. So I'm looking at the foot. I wish I could show you guys this footage here. So you see there, that's a dangerous one he gave away. That was in his own half. And I just like looking at these. And this isn't to throw smoke at Van Dijk. I'm just looking at the best defender in the world, how often he's losing possession in his own half. But my view is always, why is it? See, one of them there, it counts as a loss, but he's gone for a long ball. It doesn't quite work out. So you'll be very mindful of these. This is why you have to study the losses as opposed to just going with the statistics. The statistics show you so much, but it's how many you find have left the team in a vulnerable position. So there's another loss there, which was more of a clearance, but it went right up the pitch and Southampton win the ball back. So that counts as a loss. I wouldn't look at that as a negative loss. Does that make sense? For me, a negative loss is the first one in the Southampton games where he passed the ball to a Southampton player in his own half. And it's how many of them happen in a game disproportionately. So and that's what you've got to look at. You have to study the body of work. Right. So Van Dijk, Gomez, Koulibaly, Harry Maguire, they're all making about the same amount of losses per game. But how many are in vulnerable positions? The only way you work that out is by watching the footage and collating that data. You then look at how many are in their own half. And there's no doubt that Maguire has lost possession in his own half more times than Maguire. But it's not disproportionate. You're talking about 8% difference. And that's my point with this. Don't be indoctrinated by these kind of narratives because somebody throws all the clips together and goes, because everybody can do the same thing. I can literally sit here and make those videos in half a day, and you can make any defender look bad in relation to that. You really could. And I just think like that's all that stands out in my head is that do your body of work. And I'm very fortunate to have access to this. And maybe what we should do one day is actually do a private stream so I can show you this stuff, members only, and go through it. I'm just looking at Shaqiri here as an example. How many times has Shaqiri lost the ball this season? See, look, you got Shaqiri here. He loses the ball 9 times per game and at 50% ratio in his own half. That's a lot worse as an example. Throw out some other defenders that you want me to check on this. Throw out some other defenders that you want me to check. Let's look at Cienchu, that everybody has kind of raved about and, he's absolutely out of this world. And I get why people think he's out of this world. He's had a really good he has had a really good season. So let's look at Cienchu here. I'm going to go on his statistics for a moment, right? And look how often he's lost the ball. This season, we'll go with this season as an example. Defensive losses. See, 6.3 times per game. but 60% of them are in his own half. Now, you need to review them, and you need to see how many left his team exposed or put his team into a negative position. That's done by the eye test. But, everyone said, I've literally had people say to me all season, Harry Maguire gives the ball away in his own half more than anybody else. So far, we're seeing that it's not disproportionate to anybody. But if the media and the rivals and the people that hate Maguire only focus on Maguire, that's when availability bias kicks in and you think, oh my God, it's going to happen. It's a bit like when there's a terrorist attack or when there's any of these bad things happen in the world, because it's pumped into your eyesight every day. It happened with Corona. Corona was very dangerous, a genuine pandemic. But there were still lots of other things that you were more likely to die of during that time than Corona. But everybody stopped thinking about that. People stopped going to get lumps checked on their bodies because they were like, oh, I might catch Corona and die. That big lump on your body is far more likely to kill you. But because of availability heuristics, because of availability bias, because of what was being pumped through the airwaves, you stop thinking logically and you become narrow-minded. This is how human beings are done. Other defenders, let's look at David Luiz as an example. Let's look at David Luiz here. Let's look at his statistics. We'll go Premier League this season only. Let's go to this season only. David Luiz. See, 6.8. 6.8, which is decent. 52% in his own half. 52% in his own half. As an example, we've already done Mustafi. Who else we got here? Cody. Someone said Connor Cody. Let's check Connor Cody out as an example. That's a good one, actually. I like that one. Let's check him out this season. Let's see what his losses look like. See, his losses are pretty damn good. 5.2. However, 68% in his own half. So he loses it less, but when he does lose it, it's in his own half. Still, you need to do the body of work. Still, you need to look at it and work out how dangerous they were as an example. And that's the point I'm making. There's no point just looking at the stat. You need to do the body of work behind it. However, as I say, from my point of view, you could make a huge compilation of him and how many mistakes he's made. If you go to total losses this season, he's lost the ball 210 times. Okay, in the Premier League, and 60% of them have been in his own half of the field. As an example, some will be mistakes, some will be misplaced passes, some will just be clearances that didn't land to the right opponents. But as I say, from my point of view, let's just let's be fair and put that into context. Best defender in the league is Virgil van Dijk this season. 301 times he's lost the ball, but only 40% in his own half. Someone here says Tyrone Mings. Let's look at Tyrone Mings as an example. Let's look at Tyrone Mings this season and see how he comes out. 7.3 times per game, 50% in his own half. 250 times he has lost the ball in the Premier League this season, but 40% of them have been in his own half. So it gives you an idea. And like I've said many, many times, people try and make out that Harry Maguire is disproportionately bad at these things compared to everybody else. And it is factually untrue. Factually untrue. But again, how many of you are watching these games of other teams to actually notice this? Mason Holgate, please. Okay, we'll look at Holgate. Having a little look at this boy, because I don't know the answers till they come up. See, his is pretty decent, 5.6 per game, but again, nearly 60% in his own half, which is interesting. And then we'll check Upamecano. We'll check him out. See what this man is saying. Just waiting for this to load, people. Upamecano, losses 8 per game, 43%. In his own half. So again, these things are just not disproportionate for Maguire. They're all in and around the same ballpark. The same as being dribbled past, players that we act like we sign him, we're not getting dribble passes as much. Yeah, you are. They're getting dribble passes as much now in a minor in a league that you don't consider to be as good. It's just do your body of work before you come to these conclusions. You can have what happens a lot at the moment in football is everybody tries to present an opinion and or a fact based on a hypothesis, and your opinion is not worth more than my facts. So when I can show you that Harry Maguire isn't losing the ball in dangerous positions disproportionately more than other elite level defenders or defenders in top leagues, when I can show that he's not dribble passing more disproportionately than defenders that you think are better, when he's past completion, when he's mistakes, when none of these things are disproportionate to other players that you consider better, where is this notion that he's not a good player? Where's it come from? It's a theory in your mind. There is actually nothing substantial. You don't like the mistakes, but the people that you want to replace him are making as many. They're being dribble passed as much. They're not winning as many tackles. They're not winning as many aerial channels. So you're basing on a theory that you think they might be better in a Man United kit than Maguire. What's it based on? There is nothing you've seen that suggests this is right. What you are doing, and again, it's confirmation bias, you're ignoring all the other variables, all the other evidence, and focusing on one little element to prove your point. And in a real genuine football debate, you'd fall down. You know, if you actually sit here and do the analysis, I'm not saying Harry Maguire should be rated as one of the best in the world this season. But I'm sort of looking at it thinking, when I see all these things, I'll just watch it. But I watch all the stuff of these other players. I sit here and look at all their mistakes, and they're all doing the same thing. But we're only focusing on the mistakes of one person, and we're ignoring the mistakes of others, and we're drawing a conclusion from that. Do you understand how weird that is? You know? It's like finding a defect in one particular car and going, oh, this car is really dangerous because these things go wrong in crashes. Is that one car or all cars? Oh, we haven't tested the other cars. Oh, so you don't know whether it's all cars have got this problem or just the one particular car that you don't like. Yeah, but we're just going to say it's that car. So people stop using that car. Yeah, but what about the people that are now going to not use that car and are going to buy all the other cars that have got the same defect? Shouldn't we be testing that all car safety mechanisms have got this, are not having the same defect? No, but it's just that car because we tested it on that car. I get that. But it's a problem with the seatbelt and there's a problem with the airbags. But those same seatbelts and airbags are used in 10 other models. Yeah, but we like those models. Yeah, I get you. Do you get where I'm coming from? You got to test everything. You got to test everything to the same standard. You know, when you do safety checks on a car, you know, when there's health and safety checks done on restaurants, when you're assessing exams or dissertations at the university, they're all tested at the same standard so that you get a fair outcome. We don't do that as football fans enough. I don't like Maguire, so I'm going to look for all the things I dislike and present a conclusion based on a hypothesis or a lack of investigation. Yeah, all those things you're saying Maguire does wrong. The 5 players you want to replace him make those mistakes more than he does. I don't care about that because I like those players. It's mad. There's a science to everything. There really is. And people say, eye test. But I'm doing the eye test. I'm looking at the stats and I have the eye test next to those stats. So if I can look at it, I might see, oh, look, do you know what? Maguire, though, yeah. Double the ratio of Maguire, he's losing the ball in vulnerable positions, which of course counterattacks. That's a problem. But you only know that if you do the work. You can't have the opinion that he gives the ball away in dangerous positions more than his opponents if you're not checking. Because how do you know? How do you know? You know he's doing it, yes. But is it disproportionate to others? If it isn't, then it isn't a Maguire problem. It's a general defensive problem. And then no matter who you bring in, you're going to have those same mistakes. So deal with it. That's just the lie of the land. You know what I'm saying? Mad. Anyway. There we go. Listen, everyone who's tuned in, thank you. I love these chats. I really, really do. We'll be back live 3 o'clock. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. See you all again soon. Bye-bye.